Everyone, so I just got done shooting a couple rolls of Super 8 film. My trusty camera here. I'll tell you guys a little bit about the format and show you around the things you need for it. This is definitely qualifies as some retro shit. I'm extremely interested in Super 8 film. Film came around in about the late 60s, I'd say, as a replacement for traditional 8mm movie film. Now this is an 8mm camera. It's a different beast. Open them up. You put the film on here yourself, and when the roll was about halfway done, you take it into a darker room and you reverse it, and so to go the other way is how that works. I haven't read too much about the regular 8. I was interested. I've never actually used this camera. I've wanted to in the past, but regular 8mm film is pretty expensive compared to Super 8, and it's less quality. It has less of the frame available to you, so you're not getting as much picture. It's it's less quality, so it's just like I don't even bother with it. But they're pretty cool in that you actually hand wind them, and then you press the button. And, then it goes. That's way too fast for that, but that's more like it. So, and it's got this particular camera has several different zooms on it: wide angle, a telephoto, and a regular. And they're all good quality. They're all at 1.8 focal length, so not like you're not degrading the quality. A lot of the cameras with zooms, I don't like them because they degrade the quality with the zoom. And it starts with like a 1. Actually, like a lot of them start at like 3.5 focal lengths, and they're god awful. They don't let in enough light. But anyway, that's the regular 8 format, which came out in the 40s and was available. I think it was they still made the regular stuff. Kodak still made it until like the early 90s, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Super 8 now. Super 8 came out in the late 60s, had more of the picture available to you. I guess it was easier to process. It came in a cartridge like this. Again, like only 8mm long. And yeah, you just put there 50-foot roll would usually last most cameras about 3 minutes and 20 seconds. If you had a sound camera, it's less, about 2 minutes something. 250 maybe, I don't know, because I think these run at 18 frames per second on a regular non-sound camera, and that's 18 frames per second is about what you would perceive to the human eye as moving correctly without sound. Now if you put sound at 18 frames per second, it wouldn't sync up, so 24 frames per second is the minimum, if you want the sound. My camera is a very simple camera. It was my dad's or whatever, but it's actually a very good quality. I have not, like, when I look at Super 8 stuff online, like the quality is just, in terms of their cameras, they do not compare to this one. I think it's because this one has a particular focal length of only 1.2. It's an aperture of 1.2. It lets in so much light. It's very unheard of in most cameras, even in a 35mm. 8.8mm lens, which for 8mm film would give you, the approximate to life. It would give you approximately life-sized images when you look in the viewfinder or whatever, like you see what you see with your human eye when you take a picture of this. So, and I'm not a fan of people that zoom in and out with Super 8 cameras. You can get away with it with video cameras to a degree, but it really sparks of amateur photography when you take a 8mm camera and zoom in and out. It just looks so bad because of the 18 frames per second. It just doesn't flow nicely. So even if I had a zoom, it would be, you'd zoom in and you'd use that shot until you went to the next scene. I'd never zoom in and out. And zoom lenses are, by definition, they're just bad. Things that zoom in and out usually aren't the greatest quality. It's usually like a fixed lens that's the best quality. And this is a very good glass lens. It's very good. I've never seen a better quality camera. I'm not impressed with the qualities other. I like this one. It's a very simple camera. Just point and shoot. Like, I don't have to do anything. Which I do like manual control of things, especially with my 35mm photography. But in terms of this, I really like this. And it's all about just, focusing. It's all about composing the frame and making sure you have the scene you want. Because only dealing with 3 minutes and 20 seconds, you have to be very precise about what you want. And you just turn it on and it starts going through the motions there. They still make Super 8 films. It's become very popular in commercials. I see a lot of commercials being shot on Super 8, and I see movies from time to time having certain scenes shot in Super 8. They'll do maybe a scene that's meant for 20 years beforehand or whatever. Like, they'll do that, or a dream sequence. The entire film won't be shot in Super 8, but they'll use like certain scenes or whatever. I know JFK and Nixon, those two, those Oliver Stone movies, those had a lot of Super 8 in them, and they're very cool, very great effect. Now the problem with that is they've kind of taken over the amateur market of this, and this stuff was the main form of home movies until the 80s, really. And even though VHS and Beta were available in the 70s, they didn't really start to eclipse Super 8 until the 80s, the mid 80s, and that's when the VHS took it over, and it quickly died after that. But there was still an amateur element that really liked this stuff. Professionals got a hold of it and kind of destroyed it for the amateurs in a way. Now, if you want to see this stuff, normally you have to use a projector. Now, when a roll like this goes in to be developed or whatever, they take it out, they put it in the chemicals or whatever, and you come out with a reel looking like this. Here's the actual film. It's nice. Some of them have this nice leader. It gives you plenty of time to let it go through the projector before it actually deals with the film. Some of them don't have that, the motherfuckers. They're supposed to have this, and some of them never put that there, which really pisses me off when they do that. But then it goes into your stuff. Now this can be projected, and you can blow it up to whatever size you want or whatever, and it looks fantastic. And that's the great advantage to film over digital, is film as small as this is only 8mm wide. And you can blow it up to tremendous sizes, and it looks fantastic. That's why 35mm is still better than digital photography, because you take something that's only that big and make it billboard size, and there's no degradation of quality. Problem is the professionals got a hold of it, and instead of this, which is a reversal film, you have negatives and you have reversal, negative and positive. A negative is what I'm sure everyone's seen it in their past, is a film that looks, is when you get the film back or whatever, and it looks all like the colors it's more black and whitish or whatever, but it has some greens or whatever, some very weird, reversed colors. Reversal is positive is when you get the film back and it's in true color. And that is what this is. It can be projected. Professionals got a hold of it, and now it's all negative films. Now there's more films for Super 8 available than ever before. There's like 6 or 7 of them, different styles from Kodak. But they're all negatives, except for one black and white one that's a positive. But all the rest of them are negative films, which means all they can do, you can only put them to digital. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand it. I guess I can understand it for the film people, but it makes absolutely no sense for the amateur photographer to take something that already costs a lot to use this stuff. It's going to cost you like $20 a roll. It's going to cost you $20 to develop it. It's already expensive to use, and it's only 3 minutes long. Now you want to add it, you want to put that into a video format, and the prices just become outrageous really quickly. And you're going to be spending over $100 to get this stuff on the video, and it's not even going to be in like high definition. It's going to be in like standard definition. These people don't put any time into it. It's just, and if you want the high definition stuff, that's 150. You know, it's like it really climbs really quickly. And you know, with people with a film budget, maybe that doesn't matter. But the negative films, they can produce a very good quality image when you put it to video, but you can never project it ever. So it's useless. Like the physical film is fucking useless unless you want to send it back to them to have them do it again. And you'll have to do that if you ever want to go with the times. As you know, as digital gets better quality, you have to take the analog film and make it better quality as digital gets better. And more money, more money, more money. They love that. The problem is all these films, and they're very good films and they look really nice, they're all negatives. So I don't know. I have two options for film. My film comes in this box. It's a rebranded box, which I hate it, because that's more of an excuse for these bastards to, you know, jack up the price, is to rebrand this stuff. This is the only film that still comes from Kodak in color reversal. It's the only film that can be projected. It's a black and white Tri-X reversal film. This is the original box from a long time ago that I think it was my first box from like, I don't know, 2006 or something. But this is the box, and I think it's the same box that Kodak still uses, but the problem is, yeah, I get it from Pro 8mm in California, and they pretty much, you know, they buy it from Kodak, take it out of the box, and put it in this. Same thing here. This is the Pro 8mm Tri-X black and white reversal. If you look really closely, you can still see the Kodak label underneath it. All they do is slap their own label. They charge you $10 more, but you know, it makes sense for me because I don't want to deal with Kodak and whatever. And it's like you can buy it from them and have the processing included, and maybe you save a little bit somewhere in there. I don't know, or maybe they are screwing me, but it's not as much as, you know, elsewhere. This is the only official thing that you can project is a Kodak black and white film. There's no color. You can get this one, which is another one. Now, this one does not appear to have a label underneath it, but this is actually an Agfa film. I think Agfa's from Germany, if I remember correctly. You'd never be able to order it through them. I've looked at their sites and shit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, nobody from America is going to get through that shit. So you have to order the Agfa film through somebody else. Plus, I think this is a home brewed kind of project. It's like they take the Agfa slide film and they slit it. They take like a 35mm thing and they cut it and they repurpose it to be 8mm and they put it in these cartridges. And it's a really shitty quality. Agfa is not a good film. It's very, very grainy. It helps with the retro look if that's what you're going for. It's definitely retro looking, but they achieve that through terrible film. It's just terrible grain. It looks like shit. But it's the only color film available, so I still like it because of that, and I'll still use it because of that. It's still color. It's nowhere near as good as this shit, which this is Kodachrome. This is a box I have from a long time ago with Kodachrome 40. And they used other Kodachromes, like Kodachrome, Kodachrome 2. Now, competing with Kodachrome throughout the 70s and beyond was this thing called Ektachrome. Now, Ektachrome, I was never a fan of Ektachrome. A lot of people love Ektachrome. I was not a fan of Ektachrome because the process, like, I've seen a lot of my dad's Ektachrome shit from the 70s. It's pretty much all faded away. Or it's just like, it's really bad. Like this stuff doesn't last, especially the 70s shit. When they were first developing this stuff, it was terrible. Kodachrome stuff from the 20s still looks every bit as good as the day it was developed. Ektachrome is not the case. This is a genuine Kodachrome Ektachrome. This is a Type G. Now, they had different types of films too, like Type A, Type B, Type T, I don't know. Like, they pretty much had like daylight balanced films, or they had tungsten balanced films. This is an odd one. This is a Type G, which was advertised as both daylight and incandescent balance. You could use it either outdoors or you could use it indoors. It was an absolute lie. It's not daylight. It's neither daylight balance nor incandescent balance. What it actually is fluorescent light balanced, which is in between, kind of. It's more towards the daylight end, but it's, you know, somewhat in between the two. So they kind of bullshitted their way. It was like, oh, you could use it both indoors and outdoors. It's great. Bullshit. What you actually got is an image that didn't look really correct outside. It looked great under fluorescent lighting. And I will say that this stuff has held up good. When my dad shot it under fluorescent lights in the 70s, it looked really nice. Very good, because it was balanced for that shitty light. I hate fluorescent lights. I don't use any fluorescent lights. Even with the ban on that shit, I have found a way to use incandescent lights, because I hate fluorescent lights. They're terrible for your fucking eyes. They just, whatever, I hate them. That's a different story. But they had, most film back then was balanced for tungsten, which I think all film should be balanced for tungsten, honestly, because there's less light in tungsten, in incandescent lit areas. Therefore, it's much easier to put a filter on in the daylight and see what you're doing than it is to take a daylight balanced film and put a filter on in the indoors and see what you're doing. It's just ridiculous that everything is daylight balanced now. Everything should be tungsten balanced. Nothing is tungsten balanced anymore. In the 70s, most things were. But this is an oddity in that it was balanced for fluorescent lights in the 70s. And the result is it looked terrible under incandescent lights, and it didn't look quite right under daylight. But it looked great under fluorescent lights. And yeah, this particular, I'm not sure what to do with this film. I'm not sure. This was in the film. This was in my camera when I first got it. And I didn't know anything about the camera, so I did shoot some things, you know, playing around back then. I don't know what I got. I don't know if this was almost done, if it was completely empty, or if it has some stuff from the 70s. I don't know if this stuff is the last roll my dad ever made, or if it's the first roll I ever made. I'm not sure. And it's going to cost me like $80 to get it developed. And I keep it in the refrigerator and stuff, so hopefully it won't be too bad, because it's from the 70s. I don't know if it's going to be completely blank or what. I don't know if it's done yet. That's the thing. I haven't actually touched it in 10 years, so. Usually Kodak puts a nice little exposed thing when you finish the roll. Here's the Agfa one. The Agfa one just finishes. It's done. You can see the end of the film. Here's the Kodak black and white, and it does say exposed on it. All the Kodachrome stuff I remember using from 10 years ago said exposed. I don't know if they did that stuff in the 70s, though, so I'm not sure if this is actually done or not. So I don't know. I don't know if this has any of my dad's shit or if this is all like my shit from 10 years ago. And if that's the case, it's probably going to look terrible. But someday the process is different. It's not. It's a completely different process to now they do it with E6, and this is like E25 or something. I don't know. And it makes their machines dirty or whatever. And I'm not sure. Like I look one place and it says they'll develop it. It'll take them a few months, and then you look another place. They'll say, "Oh, we'll do it, but we're only going to put it in black and white on video." I was like, "Fuck you! I'm not. I want this shit in the way it was intended on a fucking projector." As I showed you, when you get the film back, it comes in a little tiny reel, but you could get like a real big reel and splice them together yourself. And this is these are most of my movies from the last 10 years all together. And if you look at the thing, you know, it says like feet, 50 feet, which is one roll, 100 feet, 150. So I think it goes to 350. So I could put one more roll on here if I wanted to. And if that's the case, you have to have like a nice little paper that says what's on the thing. And Kodak was kind of strange. Like sometimes they'd give you like a nice box like this, which this was my first reel, which is no longer in there because I put it on the big reel. But this first reel of Super 8, and you know you can say what's on there and say October 2004. And sometimes they'd give you these fucking things. You know, and then if that's the case, I think in the 70s they gave you these too. So you have to, if you wanted it, you had to put a piece of paper in there or something. You'd never be able to fucking write the dates or anything. Not that I, you know, did it anyway, because sometimes I didn't do it, so I'm stupid. But this says Dwayne's photo towards the end, like 2000, late 2000s, when Kodachrome was discontinued. Like this was the only place that would develop it anymore. So the process. If you get a Super 8 camera, and you can get these really cheap. This camera, which I swear to God, in terms of quality for the lens, like it is so damn good. I'm always amazed when I look at this camera compared to anything else Super 8 I see online. But and it only, you could buy this thing for like $10. It's ridiculously cheap. It came with, you know, you open it up. Yeah. That happens to me all the time, because it's a very bad design with the batteries. Got 4 AAA batteries, and they love to come undone on you. Yeah, you got the cartridge slot there. Press the trigger button. That winds the film. Just put the cartridge in there. It has certain slots on it to tell the camera what kind of speed it is and stuff. And you put it in, and you press it. It makes it, the sound is a lot different when you're actually dealing with a thing that's not fully exposed. It sounds very fast there, but if it was actually still new film, it would sound a lot slower because it would actually be taking up the slack and stuff. The newer cameras, I don't like them so much because this thing has a filter on it, and they all had them back then to go what shows as a light bulb for incandescent lights and the sun for outside, and it's because everything was balanced for tungsten. So you press the daylight one, you press the incandescent when you're indoors for incandescent lights, and you make the filter, which is an orange filter. You put an orange filter on tungsten film in the daylight, and it matches the real color. A lot simpler than a blue filter, which takes down the film speed a lot. Anyways, everything should be tungsten balanced, honestly. And yeah, you can probably see it. It takes it. The orange filter goes on both the lens and this thing, which is the automatic exposure thing. This senses all the light and opens it accordingly. The newer cameras have, like, you can tell by the slots and stuff, and automatically disable it if it's a daylight balance film, which I hate. I hate that. Fuck you, cameras. How dare you decide what I want to do with my camera, because there's artistic reasons for wanting even a daylight balance film to have an orange filter, because you could make it look like the sun is setting, you know. Or for black and white film, which is daylight balanced, they say, but yeah, you can use an orange filter on a black and white film, and you can make the sky look darker. You know, it's like red filters are the best, but the orange filters help a lot. It's like it increases the contrast with skies and certain things. Yeah, every reason to use an orange filter with black and white film. Plus, it, you know, in the daylight, it takes down the aperture. It takes a little less. It's like a neutral density filter almost. You know, it's like, you know, it helps. It helps to have that, but the newer cameras just automatically disable the orange filter if it's daylight balanced. It's like really stupid, some of these new cameras. But you take the shot, the shutter opens up automatically. You know, and you're good. And to tell what you're doing, there is a to tell where you are on the film, there is a little meter here, which will go, you know, from the beginning to the end. It's not that reliable. It's somewhat reliable in the beginning to about 3/4, I would say. Once you get to 3/4 to full, it's not so reliable. Like, I'm never sure if it's quite at the end or not, or if I still have a little more to go. There used to be a little thing inside here, which just died recently on my a couple rolls ago. But when you're looking in the viewfinder, there used to be a little lever that went up and down, up and down. It went up and down every time you'd be shooting it. So you knew that it was actually working. And when the roll was done, it would stop moving. So that's when you knew, it was done. It's funny because I didn't even know that it was for that until a year ago. I finally figured that out, and then it stopped working on me. So I can't use that anymore. It just doesn't work. But I can tell now because I can tell the sound of it. If it makes that very fast sound, it's done. If it makes a more of a chugging kind of thing, it's still going through it. Mostly reliable up until the end, and then you have to just listen for the sound. There are two ways to shoot it. You can shoot it like a gun style. You shoot it on top here. I've never really used it like this. Maybe a couple times when I was really trying to keep it steady. I don't know why. I don't. It has like a tripod support. It's so awkward to have it on a tripod. I never want to do that. But also has. I think this can be used if you want to attach an external light to it. They had a huge light on there, and everybody's blinded by it when they use it. But I never used a light. Never had a light. There's truly nothing to it. It's all about composure of the scene. You look at it and you got to know what makes a good picture. Just if you're dealing with humans, you keep it on the human or whatever. Don't really move it too much. Or maybe from time to time do like a pan shot. There's just certain things. If you're dealing with a big building, go from top to bottom. Overall, I'd say movement isn't that great, but there's just certain techniques you use, and it looks great. And I still think if you want to do your home movies, this is the best format because it's short, it's to the point, and you can get people's attention with it. Nobody's going to look at digital pictures. You have all these, waste all the megabytes, gigabytes on your hard drive that you want. Nobody's ever going to look at that stuff. It's probably going to be deleted accidentally in 5 years anyway. It's all going to be lost. This stuff is going to stay around forever. If you're going to play these things, you're going to want a projector. This is a Bell and Howell auto load. I also have a Bell and Howell camera. I don't think I mentioned the model of the camera. It's a Bell and Howell 670 XL. Love this camera. Very heavy, but it is transportable. Put the power cord, wind it up. Or to pop it off, you just press the top here. It comes off. Take that there, put this over here. Got two positions. This one has, this is the loading while the film's running, and this is to rewind it. Switches, turns the motor on, turns the lamp on. When the motor's running, you have a still, forward and reverse. It's a slow motion, but it's a piece of junk. It really cuts down the light. I think it's just so it doesn't burn up the film. It's got a 150 watt bulb in it. The next time this one burns out, I'm going to replace it though. Yeah. You take it off. This is the bulb that's on it. It has a reflector inside of it that makes it point the one way. 150 watt bulb. There's a kit online to replace it with a halogen because I think these bulbs are getting ridiculously expensive to get. They still make them brand new too. So it's not like it's running out of stock, on old stock or something. No, they make them brand new, but the prices are getting ridiculous. So I'm gonna replace it with a halogen if I can, and I think that'll increase it. It'll be the same, it'll still be, maybe be less watts, but it'll be more powerful. We got it plugged in. You can just press the motor. It'll turn the fan on. You can also forward, reverse, turns this one on. Load your film. Take it out of the case. Put it into the prongs. Put it into slow motion, I recommend, so it doesn't get caught in anything. Press forward, you're going to want to press this down while you put it in. Wait. Before we do that, we need something else that I forgot to put. You need a reel on the end. This is an auto load reel. I'll show you the difference, you know, what's a manual and what's an auto load, but this one should catch it itself. Press forward, goes around. Comes out the back and catches itself. Now we're ready to play it. It's still on the leader, so you just point it to where you want it, and you press play. Or you turn the lamp on. Put it back into normal. Forward lamp. And we're playing. So that new film I was showing you earlier that I had just processed, I have since sent them in and got them back. One color, one black and white. I have not looked at these at all yet. I took them apart just to look at them with the naked eye just a little bit, just to make sure they were exposed, and they were. And I have a grand feeling that this will be my magnum opus of art. I think this is the best stuff I've ever done. I want to show you guys how to prep this stuff. You're going to want to prep it every time you play these things. I mean, unless you're playing them, you know, round and round. But yeah, if you let them sit for a little while, you're going to want to prep them by. They make a specific fluid to prep them, but I don't have that fluid. I never bothered to get it. I just use alcohol. There are some people that say alcohol will make it frail with age. I've never seen it. Whatever. It's always seemed fine with me. I don't know. Some people say that. Some people say it's bullshit. I seem to think it's bullshit. So the way I prep them is put them on here. Get yourself a reel. Put it up here. Get a proper towel that is completely, you know, soft cotton, whatever. Dab it with some alcohol. And slowly go through the film, touching all of it the entire way. So here we go. It's mostly about beauty, I'd say. Like, this girl, so beautiful. Just wanted to follow her around doing the shit that she wants to do. She got this great umbrella. And wow, we were in the rain here. It's fantastic looking. Got her on the swings. This is actually the second film of the series. I'm going to start, the way you guys are going to see it, it's going to be black and white, and it's going to switch over from scene to scene, from the black and white one to the color one, and the black and white one starts off in the black and white one starts off on the swing set, and this one is going to end on the swing set, but I'm going to edit it in because I didn't have it at the end on this one. But right now we're at Bell Isle, Detroit, and I just wanted to. She had never been to Bell Isle, and she fell in love with this place. This is my favorite place on earth. We're at the Scott Fountain. We are looking at the Bell Isle Bridge. Oh wow, this is fantastic looking. I love the way this looks. It's gonna be brighter or whatever. It's daylight outside, so the Detroit skyline here, beautiful, beautiful. Got her walking. It's just elegance. That's all. Class, pure class is what this film is about. It's very artsy. At the conservatory, the fountain, or at the conservatory. Yeah, she loves this. I told her to say very things that sound elegant, because you can't. There's no sound or whatever. So, like, yeah, she'd be saying "fuck you" for all I care, just as long as it looks good. The fishies. Beautiful red bridge there on a canal. Lots of canals in Belle Isle. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect. Oh, this is just fantastic looking. I am in love with this. I could watch this over and over again. This looks so damn good. Got her walking on the pier. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Nice skyline there. Oh, upon finishing your roll, you want to keep the motor running. You want to turn the lamp off as quick as possible. Keep the motor running because the fan's going to run and it's going to cool off the bulb. The bulb will not last very long at all if you just turn the motor off completely, because it will get warm and the filament will just, yeah, it's going to die quicker. So keep that motor running, cool off that bulb. It's only got like 15 hours rated life. It's pretty bad life rating on there, so I'm going to be happy once I get to the halogen. But again, it's not like you have this thing running that much, so 15 hours. I've had this bulb in there for several years, so it's good for now. Make it go still. Take it up. Take the bigger reel. And this is what you do with the non-auto mounts, is you put the film in there, hold it with your finger, and give it a few steps to where it starts to go, and then you hit reverse. And it will rewind it pretty quickly. That's for the short rolls. The bigger rolls are no different. You be just as big, and if you want to use the bigger reels, it's no different. You just plop it on, put it down, thread them, and this will gift you like a lot. Like they used to put movies on this thing too, and it's nice. That is the Super 8 film format, guys. I really love this stuff. I hope you guys like it. You guys will look into it, because this is the best. Like, if you guys want to record your shit at home, like, this stuff, you're gonna want to watch this stuff. You're never gonna want to watch your digital films ever, and you're gonna have to edit 2 hours of it anyway. It's just, you get it right the first time, and you're good. And you're gonna want to look back on this stuff every once in a while. It's good stuff. It'll last. Like I don't know how long the Agfa film was gonna last, but I know the black and white stuff was gonna last 150 years. The Kodachrome stuff's gonna last the same. Black and white stuff will probably last 300 years. It's good stuff, and you can put it to digital later on, and it's all good. I like it. Anyways, while I'm here, I might as well point you to a couple Super 8 films. Why not? I'll also point you to
Pay no attention to this overdub. I just wanted to point you to my video that you saw earlier on, my masterpiece video. Things have changed since I first did this video, so I want to point you to that one. And yeah, filler.
I'll point you to I'll point you to the one where I go downtown Detroit, check out all the skyscrapers and stuff. That's all I'm gonna do. Subscribe if you want to. I mostly do computer stuff, but it's a retro channel. So this I include in it all. I'll look at this stuff. I'll look at Pogs, a Tamagotchi I got coming up too. I did a Pog video already, but I want to redo it. And yeah, lots of retro shit, mostly computers and computer games and console stuff too. Yeah, subscribe if you want. Bye.